In this video, we're going to do a comparison in between a 30-year-old Aiwa turntable that I found on my local eBay for €5 and one of the most awarded entry-level systems, the Riga RP3, which goes for around $600. Spoiler alert, the results are quite shocking. Let's jump into it. The world of vinyl is certainly alluring. It's a century-old technology that's been modernized to stand the test of time and that allows us to support our favorite artists by owning a physical copy of the music we love. If we add the beautiful art on those big album covers, the thrill of going out record hunting or just exploring a new genre at your local music store, of course it sounds very compelling. Now, the big question most newcomers want to know is how expensive is it really to get into vinyl? Unfortunately, there's no just one clear answer. On the internet, you'll find people with extremely diverse opinions. Some have plenty of free time and deep pockets and are determined to achieve the best possible listening experience, and that's great. However, for most people, especially in developing nations, spending hundreds of dollars in a turntable, phone preamp, speakers and an amplifier just to try a new hobby is kind of a no-go. So I decided to dig deeper and went on a quest to find the most budget-friendly turntable system that would give the new hobbyist all the perks of the vinyl world and a respectable sonic experience. After a long research in different forums online, I found out that many audio lovers regarded Japanese turntables from the end of the 80s and the beginning of the 90s as great entry-level systems, and that many units came with a built-in phono stage, which could contribute even further in bringing our budget down. So I searched on my local eBay for turntables from brands like Aiwa, Sony and Akai, which also had a foothold in the European and American markets. One of the most widely available models was the Aiwa PX80E, a bell-driven fully automatic turntable from 1988 with a built-in phono preamp. There were many iterations of the system, like the PX-E850 or the PX-E860, which were more or less available depending on the region. I was lucky enough to find one in great conditions for only €5, just a few minutes from my place, so I brought it home and gave it a good wipe before doing some testing. We're going to be comparing the old Aiwa against the Riga RP3 Special Edition from 2017 that came with the RB330 tone arm and glass platter from the new SP3 model. It has a factory calibrated standard Riga carbon cartridge, and it doesn't come with a built-in phono stage, so I'll be using the well-regarded American-made Sheet Money preamp paired with the Cambridge Audio CX-A60 amplifier. Our methodology will be quite simple: analyze build quality and features, measure tracking force, and use an analog test LP for precise readings on cartridge alignment, wow and flutter, and speed. And of course, play some music and let our ears have the final word. Let's start with the elephant in the room: build quality. With just a little over 2 kilos, the Aiwa is only 1/3 of the Riga's weight. It's made mostly from plastic, which makes it very light and prone to transferring any vibration from the environment to the record. On the other hand, the Riga is very sturdy and robust and has an amazing design, fit and finish. The difference in the tone arm, the platter, chassis, etc. are abysmal. I find the Aiwa aesthetically pleasing, but it does feel very flimsy in comparison, and even pressing the play and stop buttons can shake the deck like a leaf, so bear that in mind when you're switching vinyls. One point earned by the Aiwa is that despite its fragile look, the unit's been working for more than 30 years without any issue, so we'll have to give it credit for that. When it comes to features, both systems are very minimalistic and have straightforward ways of use. The difference is that the Aiwa is fully automatic, whilst the Riga is completely manual. On the Aiwa, you can control speed, play and stop functions, lift the tone arm and even choose the vinyl size with just pressing one button. It actually works pretty well, except the playback operation, which lets the tone arm drop rather abruptly on the record. Even though it's on the outer groove, I think it's better to help it go down manually so as not to damage the stylus. It also comes with a built-in preamp, nothing fancy, but you could just plug it into an active pair of speakers and bam, you're playing records. By contrast, on the Riga, everything needs manpower to work. The biggest difference is in the speed mechanism that needs the glass platter to be removed in order to switch between 33 and 45 RPM. You can buy an external Riga power supply that will set you back another €200. All in all, they're both very easy to use. I prefer the Riga's approach of having just one button to turn on the motor, making the system less liable to errors. One of the most important things to consider when buying a turntable is its tracking force. Tracking force is the weight at which the stylus sits on the record, and is key to have it correctly calibrated at the cartridge manufacturer recommended load in order to have a good sonic experience and to avoid any damage to the vinyl grooves. Most entry-level audiophile turntables have built-in counterweight mechanisms in the tone arm that allow the user to set the tracking force to the desired pressure, which gives the possibility to exchange cartridges and upgrade the turntable exponentially. The Riga RP3 has this feature, but not the Aiwa. The average tracking force for most standard cartridges varies between 2 and 3 grams. Now, to do a precise measure of the cartridge's load, we're going to use a stylus tracking force gauge. They are only about 15 euros on Amazon. Link will be in the video description. Okay, so the Riga Carbon cartridge has a tracking pressure in between 2 and 3 grams, as it's shown on their official website, and just by gently resting on the scale, we know that it's rightly calibrated. The Aiwa comes with an Audio-Technica AT91, which for my surprise, it's praised as one of the best buy entry-level cartridges out there. On the manufacturer's website, it recommends a tracking force of 2 grams, but when putting it to the test on this turntable, it's clearly way off spec, around 3.5 grams. But fear not, my friends, as we stated before, the mechanism that calibrates the tracking force on a more expensive turntable is nothing but a built-in counterweight on the opposite side of the tone arm. And that's a call for redneck engineering. Just get some coins and place them on the rear of the tone arm and measure the load on the force gauge till you get the correct pressure. Use some tape or glue to secure them and voila! Now we have a perfectly tracking cartridge. Remember, it ain't stupid if it works. For our next analysis, we're going to use the Analog Productions Ultimate Analog Test LP. It's a record with 16 tracks and various tests for the most accurate adjustment of your LP playback system. We're not going to go over all of them, we'll just concentrate on the most important ones for a quick overlook of speed, azimuth and wow and flatter. I'm going to use my 2-channel digital oscilloscope and PC software to get precise readings. Let's start with speed. To check if the turntables are spinning at the correct revolutions per minute, we'll simply play the first track on the test LP that has a 1 kHz reference tone, and then we'll measure the frequency directly on the oscilloscope. We can see that the RP3 gave us an amazing result of nearly 1.001 kHz. The Aiwa actually didn't do so badly, with an impressive 1.025, that's just 2.5% variation. Next one is azimuth, which is defined as the perpendicularity of the cantilever to the record surface. We want the stylus to sit perfectly centered in the groove, to have good stereo image and less crosstalk, which is defined as unwanted modulations in between left and right channels. The test LP provides 2 tracks with 1 kHz reference tone, one for each separate channel. The amount of crosstalk that bleeds into each signal is measured in decibels by a freeware called JDFT, a real-time analyzer for Windows. Link will be in the video description. An optimal azimuth setting is achieved when the difference between the left and right crosstalk numbers in decibels are as small as possible. We'll start with the RP3. The first track is left channel only, which is represented on the graph by the blue color bars, and the red ones are the amount of crosstalk that's leaking. As we can see, it's fluctuating around -29 decibels. For the second track, right channel only, the colors are now inverted, and the blue bars show the crosstalk. We see again an average around -29 decibels, which is a very good result. Let's switch to the Aiwa now. On the first track, the red bars show us a crosstalk that peaks at around -24 decibels, but on the track for the other channel, we see them reaching -22 decibels and -21. It's definitely not perfect, but still impressive considering the price. But of course, there's a big difference between -29 decibels and -21, plus the Aiwa doesn't even have the option to adjust the cartridge alignment, so we can't do anything about those 3 decibels difference. Next up, wow and flatter. Wow is a term used to describe slow variations in the pitch of sounds when you play records, usually caused by the turntables rotating unevenly. Flatter are the rapid variations in pitch, which are usually caused by uneven rotation of the mechanism driving the turntable itself. Wow and flatter creates distortions in the sound, which can be unpleasant, but it can also be very slight. There's a software called WFGUI for Windows that measures these dynamic speed variations as a percentage deviation from nominal. Most people can pick up ranges up to 0.25%, so let's check if these turntables are below that threshold. We'll play the Wow and Flutter test track on the test LP that has a 3150 Hz signal that is ideal for the task. Starting with the Riga again, we're getting amazing results. Around 0.06 to 0.09, showing once more why it's such a well-regarded turntable. But the Aiwa is punching way above its weight, the fluctuations are more pronounced, and it did reach 0.2 for a millisecond, but it's averaging an amazing 0.15%. Of course, all these tests mean nothing if you can hear anomalies while listening to your favorite albums. So I recorded a few snippets of music with my field recorder Zoom H5, so you can at least have a point of comparison. I will also upload one file of each turntable to archive.org for the ones that want to bypass the YouTube compression. I have to say, I'm very pleased with the nice and warm sound from the Aiwa. It has way more noise floor than the Riga, and there's quite a big gap in between the frequency response of both turntables. But for €5, that's a total steal. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you were thinking about getting your first turntable without breaking the bank, then these models from Aiwa make a lot of sense. And who knows, maybe one day, if you enjoy the hobby enough, you can move to something like a Riga. Thanks for watching. Until next time.